welcome to Best Laid Plans. This is your host, Sarah Hart-Unger, and this is the podcast where we talk all things planning and planning adjacent. I am here starting with a little bit of a life update. You all knew I had a very travel-heavy season that I talked about on prior episodes, kind of strategizing how to get through that. And just to recap, I had a trip to Disney with my sister, trip to Naples with my daughter's friends. After that, I went to Gainesville to watch my daughter compete in gymnastics. The week after that, I had a college a cappella reunion trip in Massachusetts. The weekend after that, my husband was running a marathon and I was not going, but it was going to be kind of a solo parenting weekend. And then the week after that, I was supposed to go to San Francisco for the Pediatric Endocrine Society conference, one that I've gone to in the past, but I've actually missed the past couple of years. And life happens. And this show, I am not here to tell you that planning solves everything or that all of your plans are always going to come to fruition, because sometimes there are just very important or very good reasons that you have to change your plans. In my case, my mother-in-law, who had been ill for a long time, but acutely was getting more and more sick, passed away between Josh's marathon and the trip that I was supposed to take. So of course, within a matter of minutes unfolding as we knew what was happening, we made a pivot and I canceled my trip and was able to spend, of course, the week at home and with family, attending her services and honoring her memory with family and supporting my father-in-law and my husband and all the family. And it was such a no-brainer choice, right? Like there was no other option at the time other than this is where I need to be right now. And I guess I say all this, well, partly because I just want to honor her memory because she was such a wonderful woman, my mother-in-law, Beverly. Like I absolutely hit the jackpot on that one and feel so lucky to have known her for the time that I did. If you want to know more about her, I wrote a little tribute post on my website. It's there in late April. But my point is that, yeah, we make plans and sometimes they don't happen and it's still worth making them because number one, most of them will still happen. And number two, sometimes you will have to pivot, but you'll still be able to do that even if you would put plans in place. And of course, there might be some small financial penalties or things like that. In my case, there wasn't even much of that. But I don't regret making all those plans. I don't regret preparing for everything. And I absolutely don't regret canceling them in a heartbeat to be with family. And I do think I've learned over the years to be a little bit more lightly holding my plans. COVID probably did that to all of us, honestly. But I was glad to be there with family. So that's kind of where we are right now. We're in that kind of recovery phase. And thankfully, everyone else is healthy and doing okay. And yeah, we're here with May's Q&A because we are in May. Life does continue. All the school events are happening. All the planning systems are in full gear because events are happening and things are being thought about for the summer and fall and beyond. And so I'm here with questions that you've sent me over the last month or so. So we'll get to our planning content. But yeah, I just wanted to share that life update. So thanks for letting me share that and letting me share real parts of my life in addition to the planning content I know you come here for. So we're now going to move to a wonderful tip I received from a listener named Jean. So she gave me a lovely compliment on how she read my book and it helped her. I guess I'll read the quote she said. She said, "Your framework gave me clearer structure and language for building a planning system that actually supports my life. It brought a lot of clarity to something I was already doing intuitively." And then she wanted to share this tip. Jean says, "Like many planning systems, including yours, mine is anchored by recurring routines and rituals. A beginning of day ritual, BOD, end of day, EOD, and a weekly review ritual. One thing I found myself struggling with was remembering all of the smaller steps in each ritual and trying to hold them all mentally, especially in busy seasons. My solution," she writes, "has been simple. I keep each ritual written out on separate sticky notes attached to a pencil board inside my planner." And then she notes that she uses a Sterling Ink common planner. That way they're always visible, portable, and easy to reference. She notes that she originally got the idea of writing out these repeatable workflows from Rachel in Theory, a YouTuber I've mentioned before, and she loves how it reduces decision fatigue, keeps her focused, and keeps her consistently completing all of the steps instead of skipping some of them. I love this. I used to do something similar in my Hobonichi, like pre-podcast, pre-book. I had a checklist of my seasonal planning steps and my weekly planning steps taped inside the cover of my Hobonichi, and I'd actually move it from planner to planner year after year. So I love this. I don't think I've really shared this specifically. I think a sticky note would be fantastic for that. Or you could do it on a piece of paper and then retape it in wherever you need to go with washi tape. But I love that. So small, but can make such a difference. So thank you for sharing that, Jean. All right, our next question is a little bit of a thought experiment from Sophie, who wants to know, does planning help you save money? She thought this could actually be a whole episode, and I do think it would be really fun. I'm going to put a call out right here. If you have used primarily planning tactics to help you save money, like pay off a big debt, become financially independent, etc., I would love to learn about the specifics of that. I will say, like the blog, The Frugal Girl, I feel like she's a big planner, and a lot of her tactics in terms of like understanding her meals and planning them based on what's on her freezer and looking for opportunities to take cost-reduced travel and things like that. I think that planning absolutely can help you save money, and that to live a rich life on the cheap, planning tactics are really, really helpful. That said, personally, I'm not sure that planning does help me save money. I think some of the rituals that I embed in my planning help me be more cognizant of how I'm spending, like doing you need a budget every month, or seasonally, or quarterly really, my husband and I looking at our net worth together and making sure our savings are reasonable and on track. Those things help, but I also think I personally tend to come up with a lot of fun things to do in my future that seem to cost money. I'm someone who does prefer to spend on experiences rather than things. I've learned that about myself over the years. I'm quick to splurge on the vacation. I own 0 designer bags or items of clothing or furniture or anything like that. So that's me. And so experiences are the kind of thing that you do kind of end up spending on if you're doing a certain type of travel or experience planner. Like, for example, I know I want to see Ariana Grande this summer, and that's a great plan, but it's not saving me any money whatsoever. Now, of course, I will, because I know that ahead of time. I've been like looking at the apps on a regular basis, trying to catch a dip, but some things there's not really deals on, and probably the most frugal thing would be to just not go at all. So yeah, this is a roundabout way of saying I think planning can save you money, but I would not automatically fall into the trap of saying that once you've mastered planning and have great planning tactics in place that you are just going to all of a sudden accumulate money without trying, because that has not been my experience. So yeah, I would love a great guest on this one. If you have done something awesome with your financial situation related or aided, I would say, by planning tactics, please send me an email. This would be a really fun thing to chat about. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to get into our next question that comes from a Full Focus Planner user. Today's episode is brought to you with support from Green Chef. Green Chef is a delivery meal kit that can help support you in feeling your best during your busiest of seasons. And I know most of you are probably in one right now. With Green Chef, every week you get to choose from over 40 recipes made with organic produce, responsibly sourced protein, and nothing you can't pronounce. Their meals come pre-portioned and are ready in minutes. And if you want guidance beyond the plate, they now offer free unlimited one-on-one nutrition coaching that helps you stay on track. I love using Green Chef during my most hectic months, which we're in right now. It's also an amazing thing to consider trying when you're coming back from travel. Dinner is instantly figured out, and the fridge is stocked with healthy food. My kids always get excited when it's a Green Chef week because the meals are typically very delicious and interesting, so that's an added bonus. Head to greenchef.com/50bestlaid and use code 50bestlaid to get 50% off your first month, then 20% off for 2 months. That's code 50bestlaid at greenchef.com/50bestlaid. Today's episode is brought to you with support from IXL. As routines shift with travel, camps, and other summer activities, it can be hard to stay consistent. IXL makes it simple to keep learning going with flexible practice that fits your family's schedule. IXL is an award-winning online learning platform that fits seamlessly into homeschooling or serves as excellent review and enrichment for students in traditional school. It offers interactive practice across math, language arts, science, and social studies from pre-K to 12th grade. IXL is a simple way to support learning now, through summer, and into the next school year. My kids have been using IXL for years, and we will definitely be including it in our summer plans. Make an impact on your child's learning. Get IXL now. And Best Laid Plans listeners get an exclusive 20% off IXL membership when they sign up today at IXL.com/plans. Visit IXL.com/plans to get the most effective learning program out there at the best price.
Study and play come together on a Windows 11 PC. And for a limited time, college students get the best of both worlds. Get the Unreal College Deal. Everything you need to study and play with select Windows 11 PCs. Eligible students get a year of Microsoft 365 Premium and a year of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with a custom color Xbox wireless controller. Learn more at windows.com/student offer. While supplies last. Ends June 30th. Terms at aka.ms/collegepc.
All right, I am back with a question from Yelena, who loves her full focus planner. She says that one thing she's struggling with is making lists of all her tasks and to-dos, say on Monday, and then carrying over the tasks each day for those she doesn't complete. In that case, it means she's rewriting the task list every day, always. She said, my first question is, how do you configure your week and determine which tasks go where so you're not having to spend most of your time rewriting lists? And you use a separate bullet journal to keep your tasks and to-do list and then pick items from there to add to your weekly and daily planner. So I think I've covered some of these topics in my task management episode. So I'm going to link to that in the show notes. It's something like All You Need, Your Guide to Airtight Task Management. But I do not have a separate task reference. I put everything in my Hobonichi planner. I do keep more kind of bigger seasonal lists, monthly, seasonal, and above, in a separate notebook that goes in the same planner cover, and then I keep copies of that in Apple Notes. But really, like, my tasks live on my weekly planner pages, either on the current week, or I am really happy to assign myself a task in a future week, just on that left-hand column of the weekly spread in my calendar that I'll see when I kind of need to see it. I will also sometimes assign tasks to a specific day. But I do not end up rewriting lists a lot of the time because I create a daily list every day. I glance at my weekly list to help me decide what I want to put on my daily list, but I am very cognizant of how much time and energy I'm likely to have on that given day. So if it is a patient day, I'm not going to put all of my week's tasks, like 10, 12 things, onto my daily page. That would be silly. I'd be like just putting myself in a situation where I knew I was going to have to migrate 80% of those the next day. I'm not someone who's like, oh, I have to do every single task every day that I've set out to do, or I feel like a failure. I feel like my life is just not quite predictable enough for that anyway. But like most days, I do most of what I set out to do, maybe 60%, something like that, 70%. So there might be a couple tasks that get migrated to the next day's list, but most of them do not. It does mean that I'm writing a fresh list every day. This does not take me very long, and it's just kind of part of my cognition process in doing my daily planning. But I'm not doing a lot of rewriting. I guess I am rewriting some of the things on that weekly list onto my daily list. But again, for me, that's helpful. It kind of indicates to me that I've assigned it for the day. I get an extra dopamine hit of checking it off on the day and going back on that weekly list and checking it off as well. And it doesn't feel too burdensome to me. I think I'm hearing from you. You're writing out all of your week's tasks on Monday, and then on Tuesday, you're like, well, I've done 2 of them, and I have to rewrite 12 of them, and I can see how that would be very frustrating. So in your case, I think putting those on a separate list, or maybe a sticky page that you migrate to each page throughout the week, might work better. And I can imagine that the full focus might make this a little bit more challenging because the weekly planning pages are a little bit less, I mean, they do exist. You could put your tasks in there, but they're a little crowded. Like there's not a ton of space on those weekly pages to keep all of your tasks. But you could. There's probably enough space to keep most of them, and you could make sure you have a bookmark there. And then as you're creating your daily list, only select the things off of there that you think you're going to do that day. Don't write everything down. Hopefully that will help you. But again, I'll include links to that prior task management episode in the show notes as well. All right, our next note comes from Katie. Katie writes, I love listening to your podcast and following along on your blog. My question centers on fitness, which I know you've addressed in different episodes. What are some ways to manually log and track workouts and workout progress? I'd love to hear both your perspective and listeners' perspectives on this. So listeners, this is your invitation to let Katie know what you're doing that you like. She says she has a Garmin watch and also Strava, but I'm trying to be more analog and wondering about ways to track weights, reps, runs, and make little notes about how specific workouts felt. All right, well, I might be a little disappointing on this one because I do go digital in terms of tracking like weight type metrics. So I think I talked before about how I'm using Apple Notes. I did the Caroline Girvan Iron series. This is a free YouTube workout series that has 30 workouts in it. And I actually did it twice this year. I'm going to move on to something else now. But as I was doing it, I took notes in my Apple Notes app, and it was really, really useful. So as the workout would go on, I'd write like, I don't know, lateral raise, 10 pounds, whatever number of reps, whatever. And as I went through the second round, I actually used my first round notes as a template so that I could see where I was going up on weights or if I was able to do more push-ups or squat heavier, things like that. And that was really helpful. I don't think it would have been as easy or as streamlined to do that in an analog way. Although you could absolutely take tiny little notes and be able to look back and see your progress. My husband used to do it in this little steno notebooks. I mean, there's so many ways you can do this. I do use a Hobonichi Weeks this year for a lot of health tracking, and I've been filling out the little monthly calendars. That's been in a satisfying way to like show when I'm doing strength workouts, when I'm doing Pilates, when I'm walking, etc. And then each day I fill in how much I slept, my steps, and things like that. And it's been really fun, and it's been fun to see the streaks grow and look at patterns over time. But if I'm actually like wanting to look at hard data of like, I don't know, how much I lifted in a given workout, electronic has worked a little bit better for me for that. And I'm starting another kind of workout series, but I think I'm going to continue to use Apple Notes just because that's been a super easy way for me to do it. If you have a really cool analog tracking that you do for your fitness that you can share with Katie, or if you have other innovative ways that you've been able to track your workouts or health data, please send them to me. I think this will be a really cool roundup to do. I'm sure lots of people have new fitness plans as summer, not that we need that, but it is common for people to adapt new fitness plans and goals as summer comes around. So if you have a cool way that you're tracking things, please let me know. All right. We have another one from Clemens. So Clemens got a Hemlock and Oak week, day, and month planner. And she says she already finds that the daily, weekly, and monthly task lists have a good home there because they make it so much more intentional than just having projects in Todoist, which is what she was using before. But then she says, but I'm like not really using the monthly pages. I'm not sure how I'm going to use each of these. So she wanted ideas for how to perhaps use the monthly spreads if she's not going to be using them for calendaring. I elaborated that in my planner, I use my weekly spreads for calendaring. It's like the Hobonichi has like an hourly layout so I can really see what is happening. And my daily pages are more for like tracking what happens throughout the day and my to-do list and things like that. But the monthly pages, there are so many possibilities for what you can do. You could just use it as a broad overview calendar. Like sometimes it really helps to see these are the days I'm working. These are the days my husband's on call. These are the days we're traveling. And if you have like big things in your life, big moving parts that can shift, this might be just a view that really helps you understand what's happening as the month is going on. I actually do that in a separate little monthly planning notebook, but of course you could do this in your Hemlock and Oak. You could also repurpose it as a habit tracker because I've showed you guys how I'm tracking my reading in a monthly spread. You could track pages read, the different books you're finishing. You could track the TV shows you're watching. You could track what you do with your evenings. Let's say you're struggling with your kind of, shall we say, golden hours, those hours after work and before bedtime, and you're like, I want to just write something intentional that I'm doing in those hours. You could use a monthly spread for that. So I think repurposing monthly calendars, if you're not using them as calendars, as trackers of sorts, and they can be very specialty trackers, can be a really great way to make use of those pages. And we are going to end with a little product hack. So I haven't talked about a lot of physical products, but you guys, I have a new gel pen that I need to talk about. And that is the Pilot Juice Plus. So I was reading, as one does, a roundup of the best stationery products released in, I think, 2025 or 2026. I think it was from Jet Pens. And One of the products mentioned was the Pilot Juice Plus. Now, I've talked on the show my love of the Pilot Juice Up, which is a very smooth writing gel pen. I love the 04 size. It works really well in my Hobonichi and has kind of replaced the Pentel Energel Clena as my pen of choice. So I was like, all right, fine. I will try the Juice Plus and see what all the hype is about. They're similar in price. The Juice Plus is white, so it's got a more kind of modern look. In fact, it looks a lot like the Uniball 1 pens that I have in the Hobonichi colors. They can get a little bit confusing, but I love, love, love how it writes. I think I might like it more than the Juice Up because it's just a little bit less flowy. So for me, that's a plus. I do tend to smudge every once in a while with the Juice Up in my Hobonichi, and the Juice Plus does not smudge whatsoever. It's a little bit finer, and if you do struggle with ink kind of getting where you don't want it to be on Tomoe River paper, you might love the Pilot Juice Plus. I think the look is really modern and clean as well, so I highly recommend checking that out. I'm sure you can get them other places as well, but I did order mine from Jet Pens. All right, so a little analog tip to end this episode. This has been a fun one. Please keep your Q&As and your tips coming. I'm overdue for a planner piece, so if you have a planner universe that's working really well for you, please send it in. You may end up on the show. In the meantime, if you have the chance to leave a review, it would be so helpful either for this podcast or even for my book. I know people kind of forget about planning books and planning products as summer rolls around, but then as back to school happens, they're very relevant again. So the more reviews that come to Best Laid Plans, the book or the podcast, it's incredibly helpful. So yeah, thank you so much for listening. I'll be back next week. It's either going to be a guest next week or the week after. I have a couple of really fun guests lined up, and we're going to be doing some more analog product talk in the future as well, since that has been requested. So I will be back with more planning fun in your feed next Monday. Have a wonderful week.
This podcast is part of the Sound Advice FM network. Sound Advice FM, women's voices amplified.